What is up, Gigaman of Kingdom 196? How are you doing today?
I'm good, Chinchi. How are you?
Pretty good. So today we're going to be talking about Lost Kingdom Season 2. And you are in the 101 Lost Kingdom, so the first Lost Kingdom. This is where all the top alliances are. So it's going to be tough, I think. What is your prediction with this, Kingdom versus Kingdom?
Um, yeah, we're the first Lost Kingdom. I wouldn't say it's the top kingdoms. It's just like a mix of some of the top a lot kingdoms. I'm sorry, from the top 32 kingdoms in the game. It's going to be hard to predict what's going to happen because I think there's the kind of pre-game strategy and pre-game diplomacy that is happening, or had already most of it had already happened. But things I believe would change once the passes open, and we can really see who can put their money where their mouth is, and who can really make a stand.
Wow, so it's going to be a lot of spanky spanky there in that Lost Kingdom.
we, we we expect a lot of blood to be shed.
Now, how do you think your kingdom is going to succeed in here?
I think the interesting thing is that success is going to be defined in a very different way than it was defined in the first Lost Kingdom, where most of the top kingdoms, I think, had kind of a free ride, and us as well, and we're facing much weaker kingdoms,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this is a whole new ball game. And obviously, I'm not telling anyone something they don't know, but I don't think any kingdom would be able to achieve what they were able to achieve previously in the first season. So success is going to be defined differently, as I mentioned. Working with partners and creating alliances with other kingdoms is going to be key, and seeing how we can support each other, even though we're starting from different positions in the map, is also going to be interesting to see. And yeah, those are, I think, are what eventually is going to determine how success is going to look like. Each kingdom will have to define their own goals and what they're looking to achieve, and then see how they can actually achieve that.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, diplomacy is definitely going to be a big thing for you guys to be successful, right? So
Yeah, I think diplomacy and obviously communication between our alliances and within our kingdom is also going to be very crucial. We'll probably be fighting on more than one front. So having the ability to really understand what's happening in each front and really put our weight where we want it to be.
I see. You mentioned about it's not going to be as easy as it is as compared to season one. Now, do you think this Kingdom versus Kingdom is going to be a lot more fun since it's going to be more challenging? Does this excite you as one of the top, kingdoms coming into Kingdom versus Kingdom?
I think it's just going to be a different experience. I think it will provide us with more action, which is something everyone is really looking for. And I think it will bring more complexity and strategy to the game that was kind of missing, I think, in the first Lost Kingdom, as I mentioned, when it was just like a walk in the park. This will require us to really work together and kind of test our limits,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be really interesting to see how we face that challenge as a family and as a kingdom. And it's going to be really exciting, I think.
Do you think it's more of a fair matchup or no?
I mean, it's hard to say because I mean it is, I think, fair in terms of having kingdoms that are closer to each other in terms of power than the first Lost Kingdom. But there are some other parameters that affect, let's call it, the politics of
Mm-hmm.
and the diplomacy part of this Lost Kingdom matchup that kind of I think changes the how we define fairness here.
it's definitely going to involve a lot more, swerving around strategy, figuring things how you guys can work to be successful. I think with this KVK
Yeah,
matchup.
absolutely. And I know other people have mentioned that, but I do want to say and give that as a feedback that we are currently. I think what they've done is that they put, I think, the stronger kingdoms in the corner positions. Although they might think, oh, this is fair. Like let's put the stronger ones in the position where they have less leverage and less of a choice of which zone 5 they want to go to. It may seem fair, I think, in a situation where there's no diplomacy or there's no, like I said, politics involved. Um, but it's really not the case. And I think in a fair matchup, putting 2 versus 1 is just not as fair as it could be. And I think the map could be designed better to just give everyone a better chance to really make decisions and use more strategy.
I see. Now, how do you feel about the overlap of Ark of Osiris and Kingdom versus Kingdom? How is this going to change your approach into the game? Are you going to be saving your troops in Kingdom versus Kingdom so that you can participate a lot better in Ark of Osiris League, or are you going to be focusing more on the Kingdom versus Kingdom than the Ark of Osiris League?
That's a really good question. I think again, this is a little bit of criticism, but I think they did rush it. I think they could have waited with, I guess, the second season of The Lost Kingdom to maybe another month or so, giving us some more time to rebuild from the first KVK and maybe enjoy Osiris League a little bit more, or find a way for it not to overlap too much. So I think that definitely poses a challenge and a choice that kingdoms have to make and a license have to make. You could say one could say that this adds another layer of decision making and strategy to the game, like kind of pick your battles sort of thing. Maybe that was their intention. Maybe they said, okay, for alliances that just don't have a good fighting chance in KVK, they will focus on the Osiris League,
Mm-hmm.
and they won't feel like they're just stuck in their zone 4, or they have to go to their home kingdom and just watch everyone having a good time in Lost Kingdom. So maybe that was their intention, and I could see why that's a good thing, to be honest. But for the more competitive alliances, more competitive kingdoms, that kind of I think is something that we have to kind of control, and like you just mentioned, like how many troops are we willing to lose,
Mm-hmm.
and staying competitive in the Osiris League and all that. So yeah, there's good and there's bad.
I see. That's good. Good to hear from different feedbacks. From different from different players, different power level. Everybody have their own pretty much their own opinion about the situation
Yeah.
that's happening. For you guys, it's going to end up more spending, and that's where you guys have to decide. Like, do we have to spend a lot more? Where do we allocate our funds? Where do we allocate our resources for top?
Exactly. And I think one thing that, and going back to your question maybe about fairness, I
Mm-hmm.
think one thing that is not fair at all, in my opinion, is that the way they've matched us up with other top kingdoms is kind of like ranked matchup, right? Because they based the matchup on the rank of the kingdoms. But what happens usually in a ranked system is that the higher you go in ranking, you're playing and you're competing for a higher reward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the case. It's not the case, meaning we have to be spending more money, we have to be losing more troops, we have to be working harder than, I don't want, it's hard to compare, but probably at least spending more money than, more F2P kingdoms. And we'll be competing for the same rewards, same 10 gold sculptures or whatever for controlling the circles or whatnot. So it's just it kind of ruins, I think, the competitiveness of aspect of the game, and I think it turns it more into kind of it's not, there's no return on investment, let's call it. There's no good return on investment on spending. It becomes like let's see who can spend more kind of game, or let's see who can lose more troops kind of game. And there's no really incentive to compete at the highest level, other than glory or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I could see that point of view. Because for me though, I probably, I'm not in the top 32. For me, I have a different view. I think the way I kind of see it, if there's no really spending involved, I think what they do is actually fair. But since there, is a lot of spending that is involved as well, so whatever you have mentioned there, it's definitely valid because it's you're investing into the game and you kind of want to have better reward into it. But then it's also kind of hard to debate because there's either there's some small kingdoms also that's been grinding a lot of payments as well into the game.
I absolutely agree, and this is why I think in most games there are ranked systems to kind of solve that and create competitiveness across all levels of spend and time invested and effort invested in the game. So at your rank, you can compete and have fun, right?
Yeah.
But and you don't have to worry about. I mean, if you want to compete at a higher level, that comes with a price. But you can still have fun and enjoy the game in a competitive environment, right? I think what they've done is create kind of a pseudo ranking system, but without the actual ranking system and without the rewards that come with competing at a higher level. And even the Osiris League rewards, I think that having it on a weekly basis is good and gives us 5 or 10 extra scalps for the players each week. But the rewards themselves are kind of underwhelming. I mean, for winning. So I think in general, I would like to see for KVK specifically different set of rewards for higher ranked matchups.
Definitely. Well, they're gonna hear your voice here, so maybe they will adjust in the future. Who knows what will happen? Now,
Yep.
who is gonna be your you think the scariest or the hardest opponent here in your Lost Kingdom season 2?
I don't. I'm not. We're not. I don't want to use the term scared. I don't think we're scared of any kingdom in like head-to-head situation. We'll not being arrogant, but we'll take on anyone one versus one. I think the situation, the thematic situation that was created, kind of creates a situation where NB, which is Kingdom 103, kind of enjoys free ride in their Zone 5. I think they're having their allies do the heavy lifting for them, and they'll just enjoy themselves in Zone 5. I don't know why their allies are cool with that, and their allies are cool with all that agreement. But I think obviously they will be harder to face later because we'll be fighting their allies while they're just having fun, and they'll just come at us at a certain point, either in Zone 6 or Zone 5. I'm sorry, Zone 6 or Zone 7, and they'll have fresh troops and fresh players that haven't fought at all. And I think that just create a tougher opponent to face in that situation.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be very difficult. They must be super skilled in their diplomacy if they're able to do that.
I don't know about that. I think again, I don't want to go into specifics, but I don't know if it's about skill or different types of diplomacy.
Yeah, that's okay. We can move forward there. So who do you think is the cutest girl commander here in Rise of Kingdoms?
I really like Ethel Flip. I also kind of I think she's very special because she was able to deceive a lot of us to think that she's going to be an archer commander, and she ended up not being one. So I'll give her credit for that, and I still remember it.
Yeah, and I'm disappointed too that she wasn't an archer commander because I run my full archer march.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely. And, having a bow doesn't mean being an archer commander in Rise of Kingdoms. Apparently,
hey, having a bow means that you can still lead, right?
you can just hit people with your bow.
Yeah, so it's like even for like El Cid, he's got a sword. He's an archer commander.
Yeah, which makes
Very
total sense, right? We don't see any bow, but apparently he leads archers.
very interesting how they've decided this.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, and definitely enjoyed this interview session with you. Getting your mindset about Kingdom versus Kingdom and what you think about the mechanics of this, and it's just amazing to hear, from somebody that is in the top 32 kingdom.
Yeah, I appreciate you interviewing me and all the hard work that you guys are doing, the content creators, to really help develop this community. And I really think that these interviews, I've watched the previous one you've had, I think with JWM, and I really enjoyed that too. I think it really kind of adds another human layer to the game, and kind of hearing who are the people behind the characters or the accounts. And I think it's really cool.
That's awesome. Now, before we end this video, since we talked about, you mentioned JWM, maybe you have any message to your kingdom. Maybe they want to hear your voice, and also, do you have a message to your competitors as well?
Good one, Shin. For my kingdom, I just want to say that I'm really proud of everyone. Um, we've shown that we're able to achieve a lot of things by just being united and by just following the structure that we have set up for ourselves, and kind of watching each other's back. And I think that's what's gonna take us to the next level as well. And I really appreciate and want to thank everyone for being part of our community and family and kingdom. And each and every one of you is important. And a special thank you, as I mentioned before, to our office leaders who are doing incredible work, keeping this huge machine running. And let's have a successful KVK, guys.
Awesome.
And for for our enemies, I mean, this is something that it's kind of part of our code of conduct, let's call it, in LG. We don't we don't like trash talk, and we try to avoid that. So my enemies, that consider your options and your alliances that you currently have after going to Zone 5. And we're always open for diplomacy and open to cooperating with anyone who has the will to cooperate. Other than that, see you in the battlefield.
Nice. What about your allies? You didn't mention your allies.
Oh, so our allies,
Any
I
message?
just like to say that, yeah, I just like to say this is one of the, I think, the coolest points for me personally, kind of having the chance to cooperate with other leaders of other kingdoms. I've had some interactions with leaders of other kingdoms in the past, obviously, but being in a situation where you're actually creating a partnership and an alliance, and really working together and sharing information and sharing opinions is really, really fun. I think, and I really, really do appreciate them. And I think they're leading great kingdoms that are super active, and we could see that by the results of Eve of the Crusade and the first event, the building the ruined fortress. And I really think that with our activity and with us watching each other's back, we will be able to have an impact and have a say in this KVK. I think our enemies are underestimating us and are underestimating activity. And from my experience here in Rise of activity usually trumps spend and money. Not not in a situation where it's super well versus F2P, but in situations where it's a close matchup, the one who is more active will usually prevail and more organized. So I think like I said, let's see each other on the battlefield and show them what we got.
That's very good. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Shinchi. I appreciate it again, and enjoy your day.
Awesome.